Hi guys, welcome back to Literacy Kaleidoscope, where I'm going to talk about this book that was a really amazing and fantastic, but I just needed to give this review as I finished it. I finished it today, so I wanted to give this honest and precious reaction and review that I can give to the book. This time it's real, by Anna Liang, Liang. I'm terrible with names, so Liang, I can't even pronounce Spanish names. And that's my language, my first language. So let's give a summary from the book itself, which I have in front of me. When a 17-year-old Eliza Ling's essay about meeting the love of her life unexpectedly goes viral. Overnight, goes viral. Her entire life changes overnight. Now she has the approval of her classmate at her international school in Beijing, a career-launching internship opportunity at her favorite magazine, and a massive secret to keep. Eliza made up her essay. She's never been in a relationship, let alone in love. All good writing is lying, right? Desperate to hide the truth, Eliza strikes a deal with a famous actor in her class, the charming but aloof Chaz Song. She helps him write his college application if he poses as her boyfriend. Kaz is his dream boyfriend. He passes handwritten notes to her in class, makes her little sister laugh, and takes her out on motorcycle rides to the best snack stands around the city. But when her fake relationship with Kaz starts feeling a little too convincing, all Eliza's carefully laid plans are threatened. Can she still follow her dreams if it means breaking her own heart? So, this book's amazing in my opinion. But I'm not going to talk about the romance or the rom-coms or the comedy elements to it, because I'm not someone who is a real softy or romantic or sentimental kind of person. Just hilarious because I like romance stories. But I like romance stories because of the raw nature of relationships and the behavior that characters are allowed to express. They're allowed to express much more than adventures except horror though, also. Horror and romance are the two big genres that emotions are at its fine points. You're supposedly supposed to react raw and unfiltered. And in this case, it's super fascinating because, well, the summary says that Eliza wrote the story as a fake. The thing is, because of an experience in her younger years, when she tried to be honest with someone and she had to write an essay on what home was, and she literally said, like, I don't have a home because there is no home for me, because she's been moving from country to country and there's a big difference in culture. And she talks about, let me see if I can find it. Found what I was looking for. Page, I'm going to have to read this because this is so fascinating and so interesting that it really clearly explains why she hadn't. Her first immediate thought was to lie in her writing. Around 5 years ago at school, I can barely remember the name of any anymore. Our English teacher has asked us to write an essay on the topic of home. Everyone else knew immediately about to write their childhood home in Idaho, their family farm in Texas, the city they lived in their entire life. Simple, only had the balked at the idea. Then, like a complete idiot, I'd actually raisin my concerns with my teacher in front of all my classmates. What if we don't really know where home is? Or what if we don't have one? I'd ask. A few people laughed as if I was being funny or difficult on purpose. The teacher just stared at me for a beat. Don't be ridiculous, he said. Everyone has a home. I tried to explain what I meant, but by then, the teacher had lost his patience. He said I was lazy, that I was trying to get out of a straightforward assignment by making up nonsense problems. He couldn't understand none of the other people in my classroom seemed either. They hadn't spent half of their childhood attending family gatherings and eating pecan dumpling rolls and flying kites in Bellick Park only to be whisked away to a country where they couldn't speak the language, couldn't even spell their own name. They hadn't learned to ride bikes on the wild, sun-baked roads of New Zealand, only to have to sell that bike 2 months later when they moved to Singapore. They hadn't spent their 10th birthday on a plane and their 11th birthday crying in the bathroom in England because they didn't know anyone, and some kid in their new class made fun of their accent. Home for them was one place, not something scattered all around the globe, fragmented into something barely recognizable. This is what I ended up writing up about my essay. But the teacher had given it back unmarked, said I didn't understand the point of the assignments, asked me to do it again. So the second time around, I made a story up. I chose one of the cities I lived in at random and wrote a bunch of bullshit about how I belonged there. In return, I got an A+, and the comment, that wasn't so hard, wasn't it? So after receiving that kind of comment in a critical period of her life, of course it makes sense that she believes that her role is to kind of make up, that her life is so fantastical that she literally has to make things up for people to believe her. So when she has to write this essay, she's like, okay, how can I connect with other people? What's the thing that everyone experiences at this point in life? You know, she's a 17-year-old. Her first love. And so she makes up this meet cute. I mean, she just came to this country. What would be the most fantastical thing that would happen to someone? Meeting the love of your life. And so she does that. She writes her essay. She does the most creative work, the most thing a creative writer would do, which is research her essay and write it down. And so she writes it down. It's, in the class, and the class can read it, and one of them is not liking it. And she goes in and she finds out that a really famous actor is one of her class. And she's kind of embarrassed. I mean, she knows he's a good actor, and she kind of has a weird antagonistic relationship. She doesn't hate him, but she doesn't see why he's such a big deal, which is hilarious. But the next day, her essay that was only meant to be read by her classmates becomes the talk of the town. And now everyone wants to know more about her. BuzzFeed, Twitter is all over her. They investigate her. They even show her school pictures. And her sister finds out about that before her parents, which is such a sister thing to happen. And so she gets blackmailed by her sister, which is done for more comic effect, which is brilliant and perfect. And I absolutely love it. And then she's given this great opportunity to have an internship for this magazine where she has to write a blog post about her relationship with her amazing boyfriend that she totally doesn't have. She hasn't even experienced her first love. And that's when she starts learning that the perfect, amazing actor of Kaz has the worst public image around. And in Asian culture, public image for actors is everything. It's kind of the thing that will get you jobs, which is not surprising worldwide, but it's a big thing where stands are intimidating and terrifying, and you have to be perfect if you're in public image in the Asian entertainment scene. I'm terrified of even criticizing the Asian entertainment scene. But yeah, it's intimidating. It's scary. And so she sees this as an opportunity, and also with an argument she heard that he had with his mother about him not applying to college. She decides, hey, I can help his public image. He can help my public image. I can help him with his essay, and he can give me the stuff to write for my blog. And so that's kind of how they have this alignment, and they start working together, and they kind of, because they have to be so vulnerable with each other, and they kind of have this opportunity to let down their masks, they really deal with the whole individuality and confusion of roles, that stage that they're dealing with, which is a concept brought by Eric Erikson, in which before a teen becomes an adult, they're really getting into their own identity. This is the conflict of that stage of adolescence's identity and infusion of role. Because beforehand, they always had a concept of where they belong and where they fit. And now it's very much wanting to be independent and also wanting to fit in a group. And it's super fascinating and interesting. And the book really explores it and makes it kind of like shown in a universal light. Because again, Eliza has been all over the world. She doesn't have a home. And it talks about friendship and her own identity. And it's super fascinating and amazing. Although I kind of wish, oh no, I don't. Because again, it's so much of her identity, but it also shows just how lonely it can be, especially when she doesn't have like a central family and her parents are doing all they can, but they're hardworking, so they're kind of not at home, and she's kind of things are identified in a way. And so with that, she feels like she's independent. She thinks she herself is an independent person, and she's now kind of like realizing that there's so much of her own identity that she hasn't still explored, and she still kind of has that fear of being the right person, of fitting a role, that she doesn't allow herself to explore that identity, but allowing herself with, what's the name? I just said it like 3 times. Taz, who also has that issue where he's an actor, he's a singer, and he has this role that he fits, and he will do so much to fit that role, not even just in acting roles. What's fascinating is there's a part, and I might find it, but I might not, in the book where to try to get an idea of what kind of hardship he dealt with, they talk about the fact that he broke his arm filming a movie and how he incurred pain, and he did it, and everyone was super excited about it, and doesn't want to recognize the danger that people that should have taken care of him kind of neglected it. So, and it's fascinating and amazing. It doesn't explore it as much because then it seems and they don't recognize the danger that they're in. But it's super fascinating and amazing and interesting. Highly recommend it. So yeah, well, I can't talk about the romance aspect of it. Their relationship and their friendship both become, so I could say that the relationship is going to a very healthy standpoint for teenagers. It's great and fantastic. It's not perfect because again, there's certain aspects that if it was more directed for adults, they would have explored a little bit more. But it's for teens, so there's elements that may go over teens' heads. So I give it a 4.7 out of 75 out of 5. Almost perfect, but there's elements that could have been explored much further if it wasn't solely just written for teens. So yeah, that's my writing, my review on it. And next I'm going to read We Can Be Heroes, trigger warning. It talks about domestic abuse and school shooting and corruption. And it's super fascinating and super interesting. So I hope you join me on that journey. Bye!